What's he listening to?
The Young God Podcast.
Hey God Gang, welcome. I said in the previous episode that I'll be exploring love, romance, and matters of the heart this month of February. It started with the talking stage. If you haven't already, you should listen to that before or after this, doesn't matter. If you have ever been curious about my love life, if you have ever wondered what it must be like to be the object of my interest, to be on that romantic roller coaster with the young god, you are in for a treat. Shit is sweet. Things are very different in my world. For starters, I aim to please. I work in the satisfactory factory. The experience is of a higher level. How? I'm glad you asked. Because I am an artist, a god, a man in his element. I am at ease with myself, open to all possibilities, and I have none of the insecurities, the emotional baggage that most people come with. I am a lover, a romantic. I ooze passion. And when it comes to women, I am a fan, a student. I am also a student of the art of seduction. And you know, it's easy to get thrown off by that word, seduction. But it's really about cultivating deeper connections with people than they are even aware of. Understand, paying deep, intimate attention to another person is a potent seductive act. That act separates the actor from the mostly distracted, self-projecting majority. It's the real 1%, and I am part of that 1%. When I'm attracted to a woman, my first move is to get inside her mind, to see the world through her eyes, to discover what she's made of. Don't get it twisted, I'm neither flirting nor being friendly, but a third, more mysterious thing. Witnessing the depths of her soul out of curiosity. And if I find something worthy within her, I get excited. I'm like a child when I find someone worth getting up for. I become my most seductive self. And it's not even an act. The things about me that are naturally seductive are activated by that thing in her. My Rizz, my bars, the looks I give her, everything takes on a heightened power. My flame, in turn, kindles her embers, and we kindle each other until... You see, seduction is a two-way street. The seduced must respond to the seducer for the seduction to progress. When both parties are emotionally invested and mentally present, when there's that rhythmic back and forth, like a pendulum, the conversations swinging from the subtle to the explicit, from the trivial to the titanic, from one point of view to the other, whether it's face-to-face or via technology, that is a peak dating experience. That is the art of seduction. It's one of the things that make life worth living. Think of the game of tennis, for example. Tennis is best enjoyed when the ball stays in play, going back and forth, until it ends in a smash. It's no fun having to play ball boy. It's no fun having the ball played straight at you. And if the ball doesn't return, momentum is lost, energy is wasted, and both participants have to take it from the top or end the game completely. And if seduction is like tennis, you may call me the Roger Federer of seduction. Now, what are you?
Boys and girls just can't be friends without catching feelings. 'Cause you're catching feelings.
To be honest, it is a stroke of good fortune to find one who is worth seducing. Most people are too stuck in their own heads, too self-obsessed, too proud, move too fast, grow too attached, and do other stupid things, and before they know it, everything is ruined, and they know neither what they have won nor what they have lost. No wonder people are over the talking stage. There aren't any worthy adversaries to play with. I can't relate though. In the talking stage episode, I said my talking stages are usually fire. I have stories for days, enough for a whole other podcast. In this episode, I'll be sharing one of such stories. Like I said, if you're curious about what I'm like when I get romantically involved with a woman, this is for you. This whole month of February is packing. So get comfortable, listen with a friend, a lover, an ex even. Listen between the lines because there is so much free game littered throughout for both boys and girls. Without further ado, my name is Rodney H.E.R, and you're welcome to The Young God, a podcast for gods.
Yep. Stand back, gotta talk. Watch cost.
The first step of any seduction is to choose your target wisely. Not every person is in the right frame of mind to be seduced. Not every person will find you attractive. Know this and know peace. However, I found it interesting that, according to The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene, the women who are usually easiest to seduce include a woman who gives you that look. You know the one. You know that look, right? A woman who hates her husband or who is hated by him. A woman who has not had any children. A woman who is very social. A woman who is apparently very affectionate towards her husband. The wife of an actor. A widow. A woman who loves enjoyment. A vain woman. A woman whose husband is inferior to her in rank or ability. A woman who is proud of her skill in the arts. A woman whom her husband emotionally abuses for no reason. A woman whose husband is devoted to traveling. The wife of a jeweler. That's interesting. A jealous woman. You can judge for yourself, but I can see it. It makes a whole lot of sense to me. The book also claims that narcissistic women have the greatest fascination from men. That one I get too. I get it. Female narcissism triggers the male ego in a way I can't even explain. Female narcissism has the male ego in a chokehold. There's just something about a woman who thinks she's the shit. And as a man, you want her to surrender, either to your love or to your will, depending on the kind of man you are.
Wonder what it's like to be loved by you.
Yes, this is exactly the feeling. She makes him wonder what it will be like to earn her love and respect, and maybe also to possess her, humble her, save her. Again, depending on the type of man you're dealing with. As for me, personally, when it comes to how I choose my women, I'm a simple man. I like my women fine. If she's pretty, I'm witty. If she's fine, I'm sublime. If she's got a nice smile, I'll be there for a while. But if I had to put a finger to the fire, I'd say that I have a preference for a body in her element. A body with a beautiful smile. I'm not talking about the Instagram filter beauty or, mere good looks or even perfection. Nah. Like her beauty must be ethereal. The kind of beauty that is backed up by something more, with an aura. See, if at first sight her beauty does not make such a deep impression that my imagination runs wild, then the reality of her will not likely be desirable. Make sense? As I said, I'm an artist, and an artist looks for a muse, a figure, a face, a female that will inspire his life and his work. And that can come in many shapes and sizes. That's why I can't limit myself to a specific physical type.
Every woman that I ever had as a type, I ended up getting her. Now she's not the type anymore. Now I understand that every woman is a one of one. Like, you can't really have types.
Honorable mention, toxic women. Oh, they're on the extreme end of that narcissistic spectrum of women. But they're so much fun. So much fun. And you know what I mean. But they're not for the faint of heart. They're like dragons that require a Targaryen's touch. If you know how to navigate their emotional warfare, their bad behavior, you can tame them and you can get the pleasure without none of the pain. I'll explain more in a future episode. Watch this space. Now, the flip side to this is that it doesn't matter what your spec is. If you don't know how to talk to her, you are not her spec. Most women's biggest complaint is the dry and damp conversations they have with men. Men have the same complaints, funny enough. So who's at fault? To be fair, in matters of seduction, women typically use their face, body, and appearance to seduce, while men use words and language. As a man, your ability to use words and talk the talk is maybe your greatest weapon in the game of seduction. The right combination of words said at the right time is like a magic spell that unlocks her room of requirement. That's your Harry Potter reference, in case you missed it. Anyway, that ability to communicate to her in a tone and cadence that makes her want to listen, makes her want to believe you despite all the demons from her past telling her not to, is a lost art. It can't be taught and it can't be bought, but it can be learned. I'll get into this in a future episode. Watch this space also, okay? That's 2 spaces we're watching. Anyway, in the meantime, I'll just say that conversation is the loveliest of the arts. With the right person, it becomes magic. Conversation is more than questions and answers. The art of true conversation is a play between minds. It is as stimulating as black coffee and just as hard to sleep after. Unfortunately, not everyone has it like that. The blame isn't squarely on men either. It takes 2 to tango, and women are just as clueless as men when it comes to the art of conversation. Trust narcissistic women to shift the blame, never to be held accountable. I remember one time I was getting to know this babe, and I said the 4 words that make narcissistic women cringe.
Tell me about yourself.
She was all entitled like,
I can't, that's too vague.
I held her accountable. I was like,
No, it's not. It's a fair request. You just think you need to give an interesting answer. Unless you don't really know yourself.
she wasn't having it. She threw it right back at me.
You tell me about yourself then.
She thought she was slick. She didn't know who I was at the time. My response was that,
I'm a simple man. I like my wine old, my kush rolled, my jewels gold, my beer cold, my truth told, and my women bold. Especially the ones that respond thoughtfully when asked to talk about themselves.
she was simultaneously impressed and defeated. In a moment of vulnerability, she admitted,
To be honest, I often feel I have nothing interesting to say.
My empathy activated. I understood the feeling. And so I responded by saying,
Being honest is always interesting. If we're going to talk, then let's talk. Forget about what is polite or proper and delve right into what is sincere and honest. Lead me down through the labyrinth of your true spectacular self. I am not interested in pleasantries. If you want a conversation, then let's get lost.
I should point out that this was via chat. I'm reading our exact words. I wouldn't actually speak like this in person. And guess what? She began to open up. The conversation flowed with timely responses and revelations. Now here's the thing. For me, conversation isn't just for toasting. It's for learning. And I read this woman like a book. After 4 days of chatting, I had notes. I had intel. You know what? How about I share some with you? She wants everyone to be honest, but she lies to herself. She's seen the world, but she doesn't get it. She has more fights about things that don't matter than a YouTube comment section. She'd rather keep it real than be likable. She's a 7 who wants to be treated like a 10. She doesn't want to succeed because she doesn't think she can, so she goes out of her way to fail. She avoids the difficulty of achieving her full potential by denying that she's even capable. She's so codependent and such a bad speller. She's also classist with very questionable taste in friends. And most telling of all, she's insecure because she didn't get hot till after high school. And hey, there's no judgment. I'm not looking at her any kind of way. It's just information. So that I was able to make an informed decision about what to expect from her and what version of myself I needed to be. Remember what I said about toxic women. If you know what to look for, You can navigate the emotional potholes with ease, and she will love you for it. And so it was with this lady. Moral of the story, a lot of people, men and women, are so starved of good conversation that they approach it as if it's sacred. They are constantly thinking about themselves and their own inadequacies. They judge others, and so they expect to be judged. Once you know how to listen for that, once you know how to see that, you'll see them. And from there, you can enter their world or bring them into yours. You have all the cards. I find it incredibly fascinating that when we look at the back end of Spotify and Apple and our audio channels, the majority of people that listen to this podcast haven't yet hit the follow button or the subscribe button. Wherever you're listening to this, I would like to make a deal with you. If you could do me a huge favor and hit that subscribe button, I will work tirelessly from now until forever to make the show better and better and better and better. I can't tell you how much it helps when you hit that subscribe button. The show gets bigger, which means we can expand the production, explore more ideas and topics while continuing to do this thing we love. If you could do me that small favor and hit the follow button wherever you're listening to this, if you could follow the podcast on Instagram at The Young God Pod and Twitter at I Am The Young God, that would mean the world to me. That is the only favor I'll ever ask you. Thank you so much for your time. I have another story about one of my most exciting seductions. The one that, after all this time, I still think of her fondly. Here goes. I was in Lagos in 2021 for Eat Drink Festival, I think. I'm not sure, but I remember entering the venue and thinking, this is the largest congregation of braless women I have ever seen in my life. Baddies everywhere, of different sizes, shapes, and levels of shamelessness. But nothing really stood out. It's gonna take more than that to move this mountain. Anyway, I'm a whiskey man, and this popular brand had set up their bar. I won't say which, but if you've been to these kinds of events, you know how these whiskey brands set up. Free booze all day. And free booze brings all the baddies to the bar. This particular bar was packed. But the woman that caught my attention, that caught my eye, that entered my pupils, wasn't hustling for drinks. She was behind the bar. Neither was she a bartender, but their manager. Believe me when I say that her beauty was not of this world. It was a reflection of the divine. Nails did, face did, hair did, piercing on her nose. But beyond all that, the sight of her ignited a fire in my heart that could power a fighter jet, fam. There was something about her gait, her countenance, her focus on the work at hand. Those hips, they had truths to tell, bro. She seemed to be in such total possession of her life, body in her elements, remember? Only the most confident men could continue to look at her if she looked back at them. Lucky for both of us, I'm that dude. The moment I approached the bar in my flowing black kimono and I am a God t-shirt, her eyes were on me. I looked right back at her, and with perfect timing, I smiled and blew her a kiss. She smiled and gave me that look. You know the one, that one that we talked about earlier, that Robert Greene said lets you know she's available, she's ready to be pursued. Game on, bro. After I got my drink, I moved to her. I introduced myself and told her how her beauty made me feel, in the most sincere words. She felt it. She received what I was giving. I asked her if she was a whiskey girl, and without hesitation, she said, to be or not to be fucked up on whiskey? That is the question.
Drink freely. Yeah.
It was at this point that I went from mildly curious to full-blown attention. We talked for over 5 minutes until we had to cut our moment short because, unlike me, Shorty was at work. So we exchanged numbers and kept it moving. And from that day, we got to chatting every day, every single day. I didn't even need to say, tell me about yourself. This woman was so smart, so knowledgeable, so multi-talented, also good at her job. She was brimming with substance and depth. While most women play hard to get, this woman played hard to forget. She was elite, and what stood out to me was that she didn't need to be saved. She needed to be found and appreciated for exactly who she was. Lucky for both of us, she made it easy to appreciate her. We got more and more vulnerable with each other, and our connection grew stronger. Chatting turned to phone calls turned to FaceTime, and eventually, FaceTime turned into actual FaceTime. 6 days after meeting at the festival, she invited me over to her place. I'll never forget, when I arrived, she was like, "Sorry, I didn't clean up. I forgot you were coming. It's a mess." I'm like, "Okay, cool, I guess. Thanks for the heads up." I walk into her apartment, and the floors are sparkling. Multiple candles lit. There's a tray prepared with various snacks and fruits, along with a tall glass of water already poured. I looked at this woman, I looked at this space, and I said, "Is this what you call a mess?" Omo, top tier women are funny when they like you. Oh, and by the way, we hugged for the first time, and bruh, her body was soft and warm and persuasive. She smelled absolutely delightful. And if you know me, my hugs are elite, not those brief, shy hugs that y'all do. For close to 40 seconds, I held this woman tight against me so that we could really feel each other. It was a moment that said,
To say that we're in love is dangerous, but girl, I'm so glad we're acquainted. Oh, I'll get you touching.
As the hug ended, I got the opportunity to really look at her, to see her face properly since we first met. FaceTime didn't do her justice, fam. Neither did Instagram. Her facial symmetry was soothing. Her bone structure gave my bone structure. No makeup, but she had those wings I like. She looked fly, bro. And as she led me to her living area, I noticed her body for the first time as well. Wow. She looked as good as she felt. Without going into too much detail, I'll just say that her body was the burning bush calling out to my Moses. Everything about her made me want to abandon all caution. Fam, I never stood a chance. My intrusive thoughts multiplied by the minute. All evening, I mentally undressed this woman. By the way, did you know that there's a word for that? Apodiopsis, the act of mentally undressing someone. The more you know.
On your body, to say that we're in love is dangerous, but girl, I'm so glad we're acquainted. Oh, I got you touching on your body.
The actor, Sean Connery, once said in a movie, "The key to a woman's heart is an unexpected gift at an unexpected time." I saw that maybe in 2008 or 9, and I have followed it religiously, and it has never failed. Tonight was no different. Once I settled on her sofa, I whipped out an envelope and gave it to her. She was like, "What's this?" I said, "Open it." She opened the envelope to find a gift card from one of the food vendors from the festival where we met. I got it just in case we ever got to this point. That's foresight. My gamble paid off because she really, really loved it, and I earned myself another hug.
You got me touching on your body, to say that we're in love is dangerous, but girl, I'm so glad we're acquainted.
I got to feel that body one more time. That's what you call ROI. And that essentially set the tone for the rest of the night. She offered me some weed and some whiskey. I declined the weed, but downed the whiskey. We moved to our balcony overseeing the Lagos night skyline. I remember thinking to myself, here I am in Lagos, in Lekki, beneath the moon's shadowscape, talking wisdom and sipping whiskey with a wonderful woman. What a dangerous, delightful, and provocative combination. We spent the evening talking about work, womanhood, wealth, life in Lagos, and the fact that she was in a weird place with an ex. He wanted to get back together and she wasn't sure. She opened up about all the ways she was trying to handle the situation. And I remember thinking to myself, this woman is special, very mature, more than I could have ever imagined. She was the perfect combination of a mean angel and a kind devil. Just like me. I saw my reflection in her, and she saw hers in me. She was some magic, some chaos, and a bit of poetry. Fam, I could have listened to her talk all day. I stared at her lips and I fell in love with the way they formed what she said. She noticed me staring. She smiled and she said, "Soon."
Lost my brain!
See what I mean by that pendulum swinging? That game of tennis. The seduction was giving. As the night grew older, we grew bolder. We made more and more physical contact. I talked shit and she talked shit right back. Then there was this moment. There's a word for it. Mami lapinatapai. That's a mouthful. Mami lapinatapai. It's not English. It describes a look shared by two people, each wishing that the other would initiate something they both desire, but neither wants to begin. Mami lapinatapai. There was this world between us. We had seduced the shit out of each other. The tension between us was like electricity. No words spoken, just stolen looks here and there. In my mind, I knew the time was now. Time to apply the finisher. And so, I did what gods do. I looked her in her eyes, and with a mischievous smile on my face, I said, "Come." And this woman, she understood the assignment. In one smooth motion, she closed the distance between us. My heart stopped. She came so close, placed her hands on my thighs, and leaned in for a kiss. Almost, she no lean finish. I met her halfway. It was glorious. It felt like I'd waited years for this moment. I kissed the lip gloss of those lips. Our tongues tied till our phones died. You do the math. As we kissed, and this is weird, but as we kissed, her ex came to mind, and I thought to myself, poor guy. I am the eye doctor that he should blame if she doesn't want to see him again. In case you're wondering what happened next, there's a saying. Now from parlor, we go know how bedroom go be. Feel free to arrive at your own conclusions.
Waiting on this side of the grass.
Let's take a moment to pause and breathe. Relieve the tension. Whatever you're doing, close your eyes, take a deep breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. One more time. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Let's resume. In The Art of Seduction, the author tells a story about a moment that occurred between a journalist and an actress in July 1910. The journalist asked, "How do you attract a man?" And she said, "Make yourself as feminine as possible. Dress so that the most interesting portions of your anatomy are emphasized, and subtly allow the gentleman to know you are willing to yield at the proper time. The way to hold a man is to keep acting as though every time you meet him, you are overcome with fresh enthusiasm, and with barely restrained eagerness, you await his impetuosity." That's the game right there. That's the game laid bare. How to attract a man and how to hold a man, how to keep his interest. See, women have been killing it from time. It's just that today's women have grown soft and entitled. Maybe it's because they are focused on feminism as opposed to being feminine. Or maybe it's because the men that inspired that kind of effort and witchcraft stayed back in the 1910s. Because today's men ain't got it like that. So there's many factors that affect these things. It doesn't mean it doesn't happen today. In fact, one of my favorite things is when a woman sets out to get me, where I thought I was the one with game, but really, she had me before I even knew what's up. There are times where I would notice as it is happening, other times she would admit that she set a trap for me, and other times, while I'm reflecting or reminiscing, it would all suddenly add up and occur to me that This woman, she had the drop on me and I didn't even notice. My brothers, fear women. And ladies, that's the expo for when you identify a potential lover. If you don't want to shoot your shot directly, there are ways to make yourself known, to show your interest, to ignite his curiosity, to put yourself in his purview without doing all the work for him. Y'all have all the power in these situations. Play to your strengths, be a motherfucking woman, and have fun with it. And maybe it's just me. My love life is different, man. I am so very lucky to have enjoyed the company and devotion of some of the most remarkable, unforgettable women. My male friends don't get it either. They wonder, how do I do it? They think it's my looks. They think it's my money. Clearly, these guys don't understand women. But one of my friends, one of them who has witnessed my adventures up close, once asked me, and I kid you not, his exact words were, "What kind of spell do you put on these women?" My answer was simple. I listen to them. You have to understand, people crave attention. If you give them quality attention, they will be naturally drawn to you. They will want to be friends with you, work with you, date you, possess you, know you. It's nothing you can fake. You have to genuinely want to hear what they have to say, as if the words they are saying could possibly hold some life-changing secret. A female friend described the experience with me perfectly via text. She said,
"You listen with your eyes, and I don't mean eye contact. When you're listening to me, I can feel your entire attention on me, and it feels like a hug. People listen, but I feel like you're really listening and thinking before you respond."
Another woman I was talking to once asked, "Why are you so quiet?" My response was, "Because I'm listening to you. I'm really paying attention. I'm engrossed. I'm hanging on to your every word." And I actually was. I genuinely want to know who she is, what she has to say. This energy creates seriously intimate situations and conversations. It is fiercely seductive. Like I said, I'm neither flirting nor being friendly, but a third, more mysterious thing, witnessing the depths of her soul out of curiosity. And I can imagine it's weird to feel someone's attention on you in that way, like you're the only thing in the world they're listening to. Most of the time, people are distracted, just thinking about what they're going to say next, or thinking about their own problems. It also helps if you choose the right woman, the right person, the one that doesn't require you to act out of character, the one that is easy to listen to. Discernment is key here, and I'm lucky that I'm such that I attract what I need and know how to get what I want. Fam, the women in my life are well curated. They're good for my mental health, absolutely. They make it easy to take it easy.
Got me shining, yeah. Shining, shining, yeah. Girl, you the baddies, yeah. Diamonds are forever. Diamonds, this love is forever.
Fellas, you see everything I've described? This vibe, this wholesome story, these relationships? You should know that these experiences do not exist for men who judge women, who hate women. High-quality women can smell a judgmental man a mile away. Around you, they will subconsciously react to your bigotry. Their body language, their self-expression will show it. They will never truly respect or devote themselves to you. Because men who hate women are like boys who were raised by wolves. Forever illiterate, stunted, unsophisticated, shameful, sad, pathetic. They will never know poetry or beauty. They will never know the joy of seeing a woman smile without the extreme shame of thinking she's laughing at them. They will always feel like a joke around truly happy women. Then there are men like me, men who grew up and experienced the full richness and spectrum of life, who know what it feels like to have their harmless imperfections accepted because they accept their harmless imperfections in other people, who recognize that those harmless imperfections are art and they're what make a person truly beautiful. Stop trying to understand women or control them or put them in a box. Just let them be. Don't try to understand women as a group. Only ever try to understand the woman in front of you at any given time. And the paradox is that by understanding one at a time, you draw closer to understanding them all. And this goes for women as well. It goes both ways. Okay? And finally, the secret to attraction is to love yourself. Attractive people judge neither themselves nor others. They are open to gestures of love. They think about love and express their love in every action. Any woman worth her salt will respond favorably to this kind of energy. Apart from a good command of words and language, you need to really have a good relationship with yourself. So there you have it. In future episodes, I'll go into more details, but for now, manage this one. Okay? And I gotta say, I had such a good time recounting that story. The story about the whiskey babe. I was blushing the entire time. I live a charmed life, fam, and I want that for you. My aim is simple, to elevate the dating experience for everybody. Life is too short to be having less than fulfilling experiences with your love interest. I need y'all to expect more from your love life and bring more of yourself to it. If you're able to engineer these kinds of experiences for yourself, your life will be richer. You'll have so much to look forward to. You will live long. Fam, the best romance has the power to heal. Essentially, you have the power to heal, to change another person's outlook on everything. I heal my women, and they go out into the world and do amazing things. Like I said in the beginning, it's different around here. It's different around me. An unenlightened, unsophisticated person may listen to this episode and think me a hoe or a shao. I'm neither, bro. I just have a decentralized love life. Quote me. One day, I'll tell you about the time I fell for your librarian. So, go out there, find a good man or woman, and ruin them in the best way. Tell them the young God sent you. Listen to this together, compare notes, and see what happens. Who knows? Thanks again for listening. See you next week. And this is the Young God.
It's got talk. It's got talk. Let God talk.
It brings some excitement to the word of God.